Time for KP's Corner. Good to see you, KP. How you doing?
Doing great, Coach. Thanks for having me back.
What's going on at Restore Decor?
We are having another sale this weekend.
Okay.
Coming up. It's she's going to have a secret sale, I believe, to where you just come in and there's different prices for all furniture and all accessories. And they're going to have some refreshments, some of that stuff going on this weekend, too.
Any special discounts if you mention the Metro East Sports Podcast?
You get 25% off if you mention our podcast and you mention KP's
Corner. Awesome. Okay, let's talk local high school sports playoff update. And let's start with volleyball, where the big news is Columbia is state champions. 1A state champs. They had an amazing run, had them on the show very early in the season. They were still undefeated, talking to them about their expectations for the season. You knew they had big plans, but they swept the semifinals, won back-to-back games in the semifinals, and then won 2 out of 3 after dropping the first one. Excuse me, they're 2A. Did I say 2A?
Yep.
They're 2A state champions. They beat Rockford Christian in the semi, 25-18, and then 25-8, just obliterated them. No
Coach,
offense.
it's got to be in the water in Columbia. You had soccer winning state tournament. You've got volleyball. Holy,
a heck of a fall.
Congrats goes out to the coaching staff.
Yeah, great football season. And then in the state championship, it was Columbia versus Bloomington Central Catholic, and Columbia actually lost the first game. Lost the first one 25-19, so they're down one game. No panic from the Eagles. They win the second one 25-20, and then they win the third and decisive game 25-17. So congratulations to the Eagles, and we're going to have those ladies back on the show. Coach was excited even then. I'm sure she's flying high right now. So congratulations. Columbia Eagles, 2A state champs. They were the only Metro East team in the state tournament this last weekend, so I'm very glad that they were able to bring home the championship. Okay, let's talk about basketball for just a second before we get into football, before we get into all the great stuff that's going to happen with football in a second. Let's talk about the hoops this winter. What's going to happen?
Well, Coach, I think we're going to be working. We're going to do the similar format. We're going to do basketball rankings breakdown. I think we're going to do small, medium, and large schools. I think that's going to give us an opportunity. I think we found with football having just 2, large and small, it was a little tough to gauge some of those mid-range schools.
Yeah, but to me, because you had schools like Highland, were they big or were they small? I think it's and some of those teams that are kind of right in the middle, it doesn't feel right to compare Waterloo to Calhoun, but it doesn't feel right to compare Waterloo in the same poll with Edwardsville. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Waterloo, to me, is a medium-sized school, and we need to have a medium classification for our rankings moving forward. So people can expect to hear basketball rankings, boys and girls. This winter, small, medium, and large. Updates on tournaments, updates on the players to watch, stat leaders, rankings like we mentioned, big games coming up. How about referees to watch?
We can watch that too.
No, we don't want to. We don't want to. We don't want to do that to the refs.
We don't put them on the spot.
Okay. And when are we going to start that?
Next Monday, we will start with we'll have a preseason preview with some of the top teams and players in the area. Girls started tonight. Edwardsville High School has their first game tonight.
At Calhoun.
Yes, at Calhoun. And then the Edwardsville boys, we start next week. And Monday at St. Anthony Effingham Turkey Day Tournament, but we also preview the Turkey Day tournaments. There's quite a few in the area. So we'll have a good start, get a good running start next week.
Okay. So football up next. I want to talk football, but first, it's getting colder in the Metro East, but no matter what the temperature, Viviano Heating and Air Conditioning has your emergency calls and maintenance services covered. Viviano is a family-owned and operated company proudly serving the Metro East for over 30 years. Viviano provides quality heating and cooling services, including repairs, installation, and maintenance. Looking for a new furnace or AC unit? Need emergency service or maintenance? What are you waiting for? Call to schedule a service appointment with Viviano today at 618-345-7498 or visit them online at vivianoair.com. And You and your kids may never outgrow your favorite sport, but you might outgrow that equipment. Your locally owned Play It Again Sports provides an easy way to sell your quality used sports and fitness gear and get paid on the spot or trade up for what you need right now. Not only will you save with affordable used gear, but they also supply the latest new equipment and accessories from the most popular brands. I talked to Edwardsville store owner Dan Ryan-Yieldson recently, and he said it's hockey center there at Play It Again Sports. Skate sharpening, sticks, even goalie pads. No matter what you need for hockey or wrestling, go in there and tell them I sent you. Okay, KP, let's talk football. One game, one of the big games, was Hardin over KZ Westfield, 28-21 in 1A in the quarterfinals. And that was a huge game. The go-ahead drive was kept alive by a fake punt. A lot of guts on the Calhoun football coaching staff.
That was big, Coach.
Still undefeated.
The only team left undefeated.
Team of destiny?
I believe so.
We'll see. Hardin hosts Brown County on Saturday at 1 o'clock. Be there, folks. Go get down with the Hooners. That's what they're called at Calhoun. And the Warriors have a blast. They put on a good show. Kids run around on the field. The locals sit up on the hillside. You're riding between the bluffs. It feels like you're in West Virginia, in the mountains of West Virginia. It's going to be a beautiful fall day. If you've never been to Calhoun for a football game, get there.
It's a must.
I'm going to be there.
KP will be there.
That cannon shoots off when the home team scores. It is something to see.
They love their football.
It was Brown County, which is out of Mount Sterling, beat our Carrollton Hawks 37-13. Season ends for Carrollton. Quarterback Flowers had a heck of a year, but Carrollton's season is over. But congratulations to them on reaching the quarterfinals, which is a tremendous achievement. And, of course, it was East St. Louis over Simeon, 49-0. They're at Burbank next weekend playing St. Lawrence in the semifinal. Any predictions on those two games? Calhoun at home against Brown County, which is a strong team.
That's going to be a defensive battle. I believe they played late in the season. I'll have to fact check that. I think both of those might have played one of the later games in the season. But that's going to be a defensive battle, I believe, and it's going to go down to the wire.
Calhoun beat Brown County in week number 9, 24-12.
There you go.
So it was a competitive game, but Brown County has had a look at Calhoun.
And it's playoff time.
Calhoun had a win over Greenfield earlier in the year, and that game went to overtime. So I'm sure Brown County is going to have a game plan. You don't get to the semifinals without being well coached and knowing what's going on. So that game is going to be fun to watch. I agree with you. You're right.
East St. Louis, Coach, I don't see any possible roadblocks for them going to the state tournament. Looking ahead,
I'd love to see East St. Louis versus Mount Carmel in the super final. You know what I mean?
Right.
6A versus 8A. That would be fun to watch.
That'd be a heck of a game.
And then the game that you and I attended, representing the Metro East Sports Podcast, was Central at Cahokia. Two of the teams that we had ranked number 1 and number 2 in our small school poll, and it was Central on top, finishing out on top 36-12. Central is at Rochester next Saturday at 4 o'clock. Late start.
Yeah, they do that. I've saw quite a few of those in IHSA scheduling. I'm not sure why. Maybe some kind of.
I think the home team gets to pick.
Do they?
I think so.
Okay.
I think the home team gets to pick. So I'm glad that Calhoun is playing at 1.
I like that.
So 4 o'clock. It'll be fun. Let's talk about our game observations. I'm going to start with this. It was 7-6 Central at halftime, and it was a totally different game in the second half. That's the first observation I want to make. What are your observations?
I was going to jump right on there, Coach. It was a tale of two halves. That first half with that score, it was a defensive battle. And then in the second half, Cole Davis just took over. I mean, the outstanding defense in the middle linebacker, Malik Mazoon, that we learned how to
Malik
Mazoon.
Mazoon.
Okay.
Mazoon.
He just couldn't stop them. Yeah. They were running through like hot knife through butter.
Well, see, here's what I don't know. What did Central do to neutralize the state's leading tackler? Because Mazoon, I'm sorry, Malik, he is the number one tackler, not just in the St. Louis area. He's the number one tackler in the state.
Right.
And so I don't know if Central had a specific blocking scheme for him that neutralized him, or they just ran away from him. I don't know what happened.
I think it was twofold from what I could tell. It looked like they had a blocking scheme, and they tried to stay away running his side. I'll tell you the other thing that affected Cahokia, they were out of gas. You could see they were extremely out of gas at the end of the third quarter, and I think that played a lot to it.
Okay. Any other observations besides Cole Davis just having – it was his third 4-touchdown game of the year, and he scored 3 times running the ball. He scored on a double reverse pass with a dynamic jump over a kid like on the 10-yard line. It was something to see, man. The kid really just kind of took that game over. And did you notice that he also played defense the whole game?
I did.
He was kind of a shutdown corner, organizing the left side of the defense. At times he seemed to line up like a linebacker, and other times he seemed to line up like a cornerback. So that kid never left the field, and he really kind of took it over in the second half from what I saw.
Well, my hat's off to Bree Central's coaching staff. I think they came up with some schemes and schematics because the athleticism, they just stopped the athleticism of Cahokia athletes too.
Okay. Another observation. One of the greatest names in the history of Cahokia football, Heartless Holman, wide receiver, 5'9", 150, number 4, scored twice in the second half, or scored twice in the game, and competed hard to the end and was fearless throughout the entire game, caught ball after ball and competed. I believe he scored both their touchdowns.
He did.
The kid was tough.
Yep.
The kid was strong, and he'll be back. I'm pretty sure he's a junior. Great player. I was really impressed. Gooden, the quarterback, had a good game. He missed a few throws early, but I don't know if it was nerves. Credit Central's defense.
They put some pressure on him, Coach.
They did. So Central, Cahokia is a great team, and they're well coached, and they're passionate fan base. Another of my observations is Cahokia put on a fantastic event. Nice stadium, beautiful field. The turf is fantastic. World's youngest DJ.
He was jamming.
He was putting out music before the thing started. There's pictures of him on our Facebook, on our social media. He was amazing. Everybody was very kind to us. Shout out to athletic director Roscoe Dowell. So it didn't go the way of Cahokia in the quarterfinals on Saturday, but they should keep their chins up. They had an outstanding season. They played well. But credit Coach Brian Short and what the Cougars pulled off in that second half. And, man, Central Football Nation was there in force.
They were there in force, absolutely.
They filled the bleachers, a lot of the visiting team. And then they spilled out and covered the entire side of the field where they were allowed to be. Cowbell Nation, lots of cowbells.
Well, there was a ton of those.
Lots of enthusiasm, and they had a good time. Shout out also to the Cahokia band, the Cahokia cheerleaders and dance squad. They were
great
fun. Great show, fun to watch. So it was a great day. Beautiful warm day. It was like 80 degrees.
Well, I want to say that, Coach, about Cahokia, they have nothing to hang their heads about. No. They played valiantly. I think they run into a buzzsaw.
Yeah, and going into the game, it was so hot. It felt like 80. It was sunny, and I said that cramping is going to play a role in this game.
And that's what happened to Cahokia.
And it did. There were multiple athletes that I saw that were on the ground, getting stretched out, struggling with what was going on with their muscles, because when it's cool like it had been and then it gets hot, these bodies aren't ready for that.
Right.
They're not acclimatized, and so that became an issue as well. But it was a great football game. All right, let's talk about golf for just 1 second. Located northeast of Edwardsville, Oakbrook Golf Club is a family-owned 27-hole public golf facility, and their goal is to offer the highest quality golf experience for a reasonable fee. Oakbrook is consistently recognized for awards such as friendliest staff, best course to host a fundraiser, and best senior scramble in the bi-state area. From fundraisers to leagues to instruction to an afternoon out on the links by yourself or with your friends, the Brook wants to win your business. I've personally played and hosted multiple golf scrambles there, and I promise you, Mike Surrey and his staff are the best. To book your next tee time or to start organizing your next fundraising scramble, give them a call at 656-5600 or check them out online at oakbrookgc.com. What's the best you've ever shot at Oakbrook?
80.
Right-handed or left-handed?
Left-handed.
So KP is the only person I know who played left-handed and then switched to right-handed. So
Don't do it.
You shot 80 left-handed.
Yes, sir.
And what would you shoot? What's the best you ever shot there right-handed?
92.
And why did you switch again?
Every club in my bag went into a 150-yard slice. I was a 4 handicap.
Wow. Every single club. So rather than stick it out and figure out how to figure out your left-handed swing troubles.
I took 6 months, went to the golf pros, did the whole thing, and the main golf pro that helped me become a good golfer asked me if I fell off the ladder and hit my head.
I took 6 months off, and then I quit. It was the best decision I ever made. I don't know. I don't know. I've played once. I'm still terrible. Okay, let's talk about what's coming up this next week. So next week, Central at Rochester. Coach Brian Short. Let me say one more thing about Brian Short. I've started filming Coach Short, and I thought he was going to run out on the field, so I wanted to get video of him running out on the field. Instead, he very casually walked over and gave hugs to all his family members. And I asked him, I texted him first and said, hey, do you mind if I post this? Because it was kind of a personal moment, just at halftime.
Sure.
You know, the game was still very competitive. But I thought for him to have that kind of presence of mind and that kind of, it just showed you where his head is at that moment, that he still realizes, you know, yeah, we got a game going on here, but there's my mom, my aunt, you know, my daughter. I don't know who these people were. I know that they were family members. But that's where his head was. He went over and hugged those people. And it wasn't one of those things where he knew he was being filmed or he knew the cameras were watching. It seemed very authentic. I was very impressed by that.
I believe so. Class act, Coach.
So it feels like we're tooting the proverbial horn of the Cougars here quite a lot. They had a great game. But once again, great season by the Comanches, and Malik in particular, amongst others. They had 2 other all-state kids on their team. So great season for Kokia, which is getting a new high school. I wonder if they'll keep playing on that field. Probably not. They'll probably get a new field.
I would hope so, but that's a nice field, Coach.
It was fantastic.
But talking about, Bree Central at Rochester, Coach is going to have to come up with his best game plan of the year. Yeah. Rochester's really good.
Rochester had a huge win over Sacred Heart Griffin last weekend, and that's a rivalry. That's a big-time rivalry from those two schools that aren't separated by a lot of miles. So, and the Rochester fans will be out there in force. I said one time that I saw on some social media that they considered themselves the Alabama of Illinois high school football.
They absolutely do.
That's what they said. And I said, are you East St. Louis? Wow. Did they unload on me?
I bet.
So I would love to see them play. Maybe they could schedule them.
Like to see them on the schedule.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, that would be fun. Anyway. Okay. What else do you want to say?
Just lastly, for next couple of weeks after Thanksgiving, we'll get our final rankings for the entire season. We'll cover the statistic leaders. And the statistic leaders we'll be covering, just to be clear, is the St. Louis metropolitan area, including St. Louis schools. So our guys are competing against quite a few schools over on the Missouri side.
And also we'll compare stats for the entire state. So that way you got a guy like number 5 for Cahokia, leading the whole state in tackles. That's significant as well. So we'll do our final rankings after Thanksgiving, after the state tournament, for large and small teams. We'll go ahead and finish the year like that. But also we'll have players of the year, large and small, team of the year, large and small, maybe some other special recognition from KP. We'll have to wait and see on that. But if you've got a suggestion, folks, teams and players that we need to keep an eye on or recognize in our end-of-season football wrap-up, feel free to shoot those names our way. All right, well, football's winding down, man. 2 more weeks.
We'll be finished.
After this Saturday, after the 22nd, we'll know who's in that Saturday final, the Saturday just a couple days after Thanksgiving. And any predictions? East side
and landslide. There's nobody going to touch them. And I think Breese Central is going to have, even once they get past, I looked a little bit ahead. I mean, Breese Central is going to have to play well the rest of the next game.
Mistake free in the semifinals.
They're going to have to play solid.
And Calhoun is going to have to do what they've been doing all year. I'm looking forward to seeing that game. If you are in Calhoun, if you're a Hooner, make sure you come look me up, find me, tap me on the shoulder. I'd love to shake your hand. And same for KP. You're going to come with me?
Yep, we'll be there.
Okay, awesome. Well, for KP and me, thank you for listening to the Metro Esports podcast presented by Little Caesars Pizza. And big thanks to guests, Coach Mark Schutte, Audrey Floyd, Abby Goddard, Zoe Scroggins, and for partners Cassens, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, Keller Williams Marquee, The Blasting Game Group, Dazzling Decor and More, Integrity Spine and Joint Center, Front Office, Fiduciary Network, Oak Brook Golf Club, Viviano Heating and Air Conditioning, Play It Again Sports Edwardsville, and for my teammates, Kayla Kohlberg, Luke Slemmer, and intern Kala Espensheed. Thank you all for listening to the Metro Esports podcast, talking all things sports in the Metro East.